and again. Everywhere I look around. Hey everyone, welcome to the fourth edition of this daily Q&A on public speaking. Today it's all about love because today is all about pathos. The theme today is pathos. It's all about love. Pathos, original meaning, Old Greek, means pain and passion. And who has to suffer? Your audience. I'm so looking forward to a Q&A on anything that has to do with emotions. And of course, again, hi to everyone who's already here. 8 people ask questions. This is a Q&A. I figured out, you know what you guys doing? You enter this thing now because you're all home alone with your crackers and then a nice beer. You have a beer, Connor? You have a beer next to you? And then you're waiting for some teachings. No way, this is interactive. It is a Q&A. Alba, come on, ask me the first question right away. Pathos. Pathos, one of the 3 modes of persuasion that Aristotle describes in his treatise, Rhetoric, how to move people to action, how to persuade them and move them to action. We have the logic, logos, we have ethos, the credibility as a speaker, and we have, of course, pathos, the emotional appeal. Connor, you asked me yesterday, what is my biggest lesson learned? The biggest lesson learned will always be, still is now, when nobody asks a question, keep talking. And in my trainings, I always say, guys, when you come back home, which right now is difficult because in Spain, we're all at home. You cannot come back home. But when you are coming home in the future, and your spouse, your partner, can be man, woman, woman, man, either way, man, man, woman, woman, I don't care at all. And you come back home late, and you went to a bar before, and you're apparently a bit tipsy. And then the partner starts to fight with you. Do your logical arguments, your logic, do they work? You always come back home late! Pathos always wins. Pathos always wins. Nadine Meisel, what an important question. How do you feel right now? I feel good because it's the 4th time I'm doing this, and the whole day I'm kind of waiting for 6 p.m. And then at 5-ish, I get ready, I take a shower, I dress weirdly, you will know why in a second, and then I'm looking forward to 6 p.m. to be with you. That's how I feel. Here we go. Alba Lucia in Capie, that's a Colombian question here. Is it impossible to express your emotions without being too emotional? Is it possible to express your emotions without being too emotional? So the other way around, you mean, is it possible to express too much emotions? Like when Julia Roberts received her Academy Award. Oh no, 3 minutes? That was too much for me. But this is the only time that it was too much for me in all my career. I think it's always the other way around. If you're not emotional, I shut off. I switch off. Too emotional. Okay, can you give me an example of what you mean by too emotional? But you say exactly, not crying. Can you cry on stage? And I always bring in my logos here, my data, and you can always challenge me on any single point I make. But 10,938 speeches in 15 countries with all hierarchies, with 32 sectors, from the banker to the gamer. I know about feedback perception of others. Every time somebody cries in a speech, it's always on the positive side. I call it the plus side. I always say, he or she who cries wins. But there is Julia Roberts in the Academy Awards for 3 minutes. That's a bit out of my game. Why does any tear on stage win? I gave the eulogy for my dad in 2008. Well, he was a carnival's president. You have to understand that in carnival, my dad was always the joker, always making fun. I couldn't do a tear jerker for my dad, and he was lying here behind me in the coffin. I think he loved it. Together with my brother Martin, one night before, we wrote a 5-minute speech that I gave 200 plus people in the church, and we wrote a humorous speech. It's weird to see people cry and laugh at the same time. That was pathos at its best, I can tell you, both at the same time. But of course, it was for him, the speech, and he would have loved that speech. But in the end, I also had tears. And there are moments in life when you cry, and it's always on the plus side. What is above all that an audience wants to see in any speaker? Above all, forget about technique, body language, the espresso this morning, wiping the window, or vocal variety, or direct eye contact. What is always on top, apart from storytelling, content, structure, twists, dramaturgical build-up, anything. The most important thing I think people want to see is what we discussed yesterday in the Q&A session number 3, authenticity. And what is the most authentic thing in the world? If you're not Meryl Streep, a completely overrated actress of the United States, according to you cannot force a tear. The tear is the most authentic thing that we have, in my opinion. I've seen it, I've experienced it, and that is why people love it. Alba cry on stage and they will love it. Just don't do it like Julia Roberts. The Academy Award. Christian, my friend Christian from my home village. Congratulations, he made it into the town council yesterday in the election. You'll cry for 5 minutes when you receive your Academy Awards. Christian, you say it. No, I will not. Not for 5. Christian, now, you're new into this group. Ask a super question. You're a politician. Christian is the mayor of my village. For 12 years, he was the mayor. He was the 3rd youngest mayor in Bavaria. Correct me if I'm wrong, Christian. And he knows everything about politics. Politics and pathos, Christian, that must be a good one to ask a question. Emotions and politics right now, when people need it. Back to my biggest lesson learned. When nobody asks a question, always keep talking. Do you know why I wore this one today? Sorry, Real Madrid fans, this is not for you. This talk, this session, this Q&A session is not for you. Forget it, this is a Q&A session today. I mean, when I moved to Barcelona and I arrived here in 1997 as an Erasmus exchange student. In Germany, I was with Nuremberg. I'm a footballer. 20 years playing football, more than 20 years. I'm a footballer. I played in clubs in Northern Bavaria. And then I was a Nuremberg fan. But Nuremberg is like Sheffield Wednesday in the UK. It goes up and down and up and down. And when I came here in 97, I wanted to win once in my lifetime. I became a Barca fan. But why do I wear the shirt? I will tell you later. Christian asked a question here. Define the word overwhelmed. Because when I'm getting emotional, I let it go. And what I do then when I know, and the best thing is a tear comes, that's the winner. But you have to continue. You have to continue. This is where breathing comes into play. I think that's the answer to your question. Breathing. I'm a clarinet player. I always wanted to sing. I wanted to be the guitarist or the piano player. My father said, no piano, he will play clarinet. Okay, I was 10 years old. I played the clarinet. Here we go. In the future, you will see my clarinet here in action for sure. Tomorrow, you will see my clarinet in action. And I remember my first clarinet lesson. I'm 10 years old in my village, detached house, flat roof, 3 houses, a socialist teacher's home. And there's Norbert Zwicker. And Norbert Zwicker was my clarinet teacher. Another social teacher my mom found. He was a clarinet player. So he came to my place, the clarinet shining, silvery shining on the table in the living room. I want to grab my new instrument and I want to play it. And he said, Florian, before you touch the clarinet, I have to say something very important to you. He paused. To date, you breathe through your lungs, which is right now a very current topic. You breathe through your lungs. From now on, I want you to breathe. Oh, I don't wear one now. Through the holes in your belt. All speakers, all public speakers, all saxophone players, trumpet players, clarinet players, Luciano Pavarotti, operatic singers, all of them, we breathe through the holes in our belt. And when you're overwhelmed, Christian, by your own speech, by your own emotions, you breathe through the holes in your belt and you will get back your grip, your poise, and you can continue. Yeah, it's the first time I've done this demonstration without wearing actually a belt. Interesting. But that's the power of holograms. Did you see the belt? There was a belt. Wasn't there a belt? Any more questions? 9 people. Come on. You're brilliant minds. There must be questions. Ask questions. Otherwise, it's a monologue. Oh, it's a wonderful moment to drink Spanish beer. This is not product placement. Sabi, I cannot believe it. This is the typical. First, let me finish. This is not product placement. This is thirst. Sabi, thank you. Welcome to Amsterdam. Are you already locked down there? Sabi is a great friend from Toastmasters, and he's a super professional speaker, young wild kid, and originally from India. He asked me to. You're the typical one guy who asks in a Q&A session like this. Mine is not. I don't have one question. I have 2 questions. Okay, let's see. What kind of questions? Yes, Flo, 2 questions. Which is the strongest sense among the 5 senses, according to you, that we can use in our speech, and why? Second, can you sing? Will you sing for us? Amazing. Can we put it into 2 answers, Sabi? You know, you could have asked 2 questions, one after another. And now in the chat it goes up and you're gonna ask the singing question again. Remind me of the singing. We have 5 senses. In your opinion, what is the only sense communicators in a bar, now at home, or on stage address? Which is the only sense people talk to? Hi, Maura. I see the interaction is amazing with this YouTube chat. It is not the touch, it is not the hearing, it is not the smelling, and it is not the tasting. No, Maura, what you're saying is now you're hearing me. I know that. What I mean by hearing 5 senses would be, when I woke up this morning, the first thing first, Spotify, Nothing Else Matters, Metallica. I still hear the squeaking sound of the wheels in the street. No. I'm talking about content. Albert is right. People tremendously talk with one sense, which is the visual one. The church, I grew up in a village and there were small houses. The report is too long. It's always visual. But we experience life with 5 senses. Now, if you talk to the 5 senses, Nadine, thank you for distracting me by saying hard not to be distracted by the chat. Thank you, Nadine. You're so wonderful. Now, 5 senses. Every sense is connected to a memory. I still remember my dad, when I was 8, 9 years old. I always woke up 6:30ish, go down to the kitchen, have my breakfast. My dad every morning prepared breakfast. Every morning. And it always smelled like freshly grounded coffee beans. The smell, Sabi, is for me the biggest, but all of them. This This project doesn't go right. This project feels like rough wallpaper. Something is wrong. When you talk to the 5 senses, every sense is connected to a memory. Every memory is connected to an emotion. If you want to talk more with more pathos, speak to the 5 senses. Yeah, and then he didn't say that, okay? He never said that. But Barack Obama, how does he start any given speech? Come on, Barack Obama. How does he start any given speech? Barack Obama starts more or less like this. 3 weeks ago, I arrived in Atlanta, in Georgia, in the biggest airport of our country. And as I walk down the staircase in this hot and humid day, the Georgian wind hits my face. Next to me, Michelle, under the black umbrella. And as we walk down on this sunny day in the Georgian wind, the humid wind hits my face. Down there blaze a brass band. And the brass band plays the national anthem of our beloved country, the Star-Spangled Banner. And on that hot and humid day in Georgia, Alabama, 3 weeks ago, walking down that staircase next to Michelle with the brass band playing, I knew what this country is all about. Speak to the 5 senses, you will speak more emotionally. Katy Perry. Are you excited for Katy Perry's new album coming in August? Hey? Is that a bot? Juan Carlos Duran. All right. You want to hear me singing? Sabi, in my bag, I have 10,938 speeches. Woo! And I always participate myself. So I know about feedback of people. I worked in Miami with Banco Santander. And I worked in Munich with Holiday Check, a travel portal. And I worked in Stockholm with King.com, the Candy Crashers. I worked with bankers with no insurance. No insurance. But bankers, I worked with gamers, I worked with food companies, with fashion companies, I worked with Danone in Paris. I worked in 15 countries, Sabi. Every time somebody sings on stage, is it plus what is good, or is it plus plus what could be better? What is it? You know the answer. Anything that breaks the monotony, an audience loves. When my message in my speech is, with or without your client, with or without you, I will sing you too. That's clearer than the Caribbean Sea before all those cruise ships destroyed nature. How do you deal with moments when your real emotions are the opposite as the ones you try to transmit it? This is a typical. If you do not know Nadine Meisel, NadineMeisel.com. Is it .com, Nadine? Nadine Meisel, Meisel.com. She's the weirdest thinker in the universe that I know, who I know. And she's one of the best lateral thinkers. She will turn any project you have into bigger project because she's so creative with all her things. Yeah, so yes, it's .com. So how do you deal with moments when your real emotions are the opposite as the ones you try to transmit in your stage? Well, this, Nadine, I used to do. My first 2-3 years, sometimes. I don't really remember specific moments, but for sure I did that. And this turns me into a fake. Today I never do that. Whatever I feel, I say. And I say what I feel the way I feel it. Your question cannot be answered because there is no such way. I cannot. Oh, Juan Carlos Duran. Do you feel different nationalities have different levels of tolerance for emotional speech or presentations? Juan Carlos, do you have sex? Did you have sex in your life? Do IT guys have sex? Do bankers have sex? Do insurance? I have never worked with insurance. That I don't no insurance. Do insurance guys have sex? Do girls have sex? Boys have sex? Do people have sex? Guys, I always forget. Connor, if you're still in the, tell me the name of this emotional brain here. There's anyone can help me here with what's the name of the elalapsus, the emotional brain? Once I was in Helsinki doing a gig with John Zimmer, my partner of the wonderful rhetoric game. This is not promo, this is self-sponsoring. This is not advertising. This is self-sponsorship. And I was in Helsinki with John and with, I have to look up his name, damn it. And we did a gig in Helsinki. By the way, if you once do a gig in Helsinki, in Finland, wherever you go, people laugh. In Finland, that's Finland. You have to get used to that. But there was a wonderful speaker. She's a brain researcher. Forgot the name. And she presented the way how the logical brain, the emotional brain works. And she said, when we got up that morning, when we put the foot on the ground, Juan, when we put it on the ground, hypothalamus. Thank you, Christian. Hypothalamus. Exactly. When you put the foot on the ground, that was already an emotional decision. Forget cultures. Why do Pixar movies work across the globe? From Japan to Argentina, from Norway to Australia, because they know how to do that. They talk to your five senses. They talk to emotions. There cannot be a tolerance for emotion. You can only be an emotional fridge who will never connect, whether he's in Bulgaria or in Azerbaijan or in the US. I don't care. I'm emotional because we're human beings, man. Oh, wasabi, bankers do have sex. Thank you. Yeah. Avian Amro, no? Is it? I cannot say that. Sabi, I'm sorry. Yeah, Sabi says, don't blame Finland. Don't forget your humorous German. I know Germans are not funny. Today, I invented my first joke. I'm now 46 years. And for today, because humor, of course, is pathos, and pathos is the theme of the whole session. Maybe we get to humor, maybe you have a question on humor later. Now, I invented my first joke, and it's so bad. What differentiates an ice cube? No. You see, it's so bad. What is the difference between a German and an ice cube? None. It's my first joke. It's bad, but it's good. It's my first. At least I did it. Nora O'Brien. That must be Irish, right? Is it Irish? Maura, is that Irish? Sounds Irish. I didn't think Germans had a funny bone. No, we don't have. I know. What is Juan Carlos Duran? What does uy mean? Uy, did you just have sex? Christian, how many Germans do you need to change a light bulb? Oh, please don't, Christian. No, now we're not getting into jokes. Maura, my Maura from Sheffield. D71, I remember. It was so funny. I didn't wear the Barca shirt for the speech, the ball must go in. I wore an English shirt with a three lines on my shirt, and I walk into the room, and there is a third of Irish people. Yeah. Analyze your audience before you go on stage. Maura, it's so great to have you here. Wonderful. But please, Christian, don't start telling jokes now. What about reactions of different countries to emotion? Is it the same? That's more or less, Alba, the same question we just had with, is there different tolerance in different cultures towards emotion? I can only tell you my experience. 15 countries, I worked with more or less 60 plus nationalities intensively in 2-day trainings. And I know really about emotional impact. For me, it's all the same. Of course, you have to mix logos, logic, facts, data, figures, statistics, surveys, expert testimony, demonstrations, examples, statistical research, ethos, authority, experience, your reputation, your CV, not on PowerPoint, but what you did, what you accomplished, your authority, your charisma on stage, ethos. And you need pathos. I'm not saying you can do it alone. If you mix it all together, will work in any culture. That's my experience. Maura, you will remember the woman who told you how to change your microphone as it was too close to your mouth. Yeah. Cannot happen here because I have no microphone. Oh, whoa. You know what? Okay, the virus sucks. apparently. Now we're locked in Spain. We have a complete lockdown. We cannot even walk out to run on the street. Okay, lock-in is not cool. Seeing what happened in the world is not cool. But that Amazon delivers my microphone by the 2nd of April, this is not acceptable. The world is really going down. Christian, is there a right way to mix logos, ethos, pathos? There I can only share what John Zimmer, my friend, you know, John Zimmer, also great speaker, co-creator of, this is not advertising, this is self-sponsorship. The great rhetoric game, he developed with me. And John, amazing speaker, he always says, look, you have logos, ethos, and pathos. And according to the audience, bankers like Sabi, Sabi here in the chat, he is a funny banker. So he would like more of this. But normal bankers, more logos. Advertising agency in New York, more pathos. You play with logos and pathos. Ethos, your authority, your reputation, your credibility on stage as a speaker, your credibility, always 100%. Aristotle apparently said for him the most important thing is ethos. I think it's pathos, but with Aristotle, you cannot argue. There's no way, you will always lose that argument, forget it. This is one of those moments. Any more questions? We have 3 minutes to go. What about humor? Any question about humor? We had 5 senses. We didn't touch stories, which is great because storytelling will be the theme for tomorrow. Oh, cheers. Christian, do you have a beer? Cheers. Storytelling is tomorrow, but so don't go into storytelling. But we had already, well, we kind of touched senses. There's more topics about pathos. Huh? How do you teach Germans emotional humor speaking? What about this German thing in this chat now? Come on. Is it because you're Germans? Okay, one of you, some of you, storytelling tomorrow is about storytelling. Let's do storytelling tomorrow. Okay, Nadine, stop asking questions about Germans. There's nothing special about Germans at all. Sabi, what are your tips if you have to speak right after lunch to a sleepy audience? This is the best slot! This is the best slot. I was a keynote speaker. Oh, this amazing question. Keynote speaker 2 years ago in Lyon. And they called me. It was, oh, that was an amazing audience. Sabi would have loved it. 136 lawyers, tax advisors, and auditors. After lunch. Why after lunch? Because they called me. Florian, in the briefing call from London. Florian, when do you want to call? When do you want to speak? After lunch? Oh, this is fantastic. After lunch, nobody wants to speak. After lunch, amazing. Because you throw in all the energy anyway when you're a great speaker. And then, of course, the whole morning I was taking notes of all the other speakers. And my entire speech was a dialogue with a lot of interaction. Amazing. But back to your question, what are your tips if you speak right after lunch? Throw in that energy. Do interaction, ask questions. Hey, John, you said this morning, blah, blah, blah. They cannot sleep. Make them laugh. Humor is a pattern. Humor will be another of these Q&A sessions. What do you mean you missed my question, Sabi? What are your tips if you have to speak right after lunch to sleep? But this is it. Throw in everything you have, your energy, your enthusiasm. How can they sleep? Sabi, don't get complicated. Energy is the solution. That's it. I never had a problem after lunch. Even better. 4 weeks ago in Bonn, keynote speech, Essity, multinational, Sweden, paper, 20 billion, 120 executives. Amazing. I was the last note speaker. Not the keynote speaker, the last note. I was the last act of the event. That was even better. More notes for more interaction. It's covered now. Thank you, Sabi. Thought you would never let me off the hook. 30 minutes are done. This is amazing, guys. Super cool round. We topped the 10 of yesterday. Now we're 11. Woohoo! And tomorrow. Yeah, Mora, let's be back tomorrow. We are here in Spain. We're at home anyway. Tomorrow I will tell you why today I wore a Barca shirt. That I promise, because that slipped through. Tomorrow's storytelling. Anything on storytelling. Let's do a huge Q&A session. Storytelling is such an amazing topic to explore, and people suck at it so big time. Yeah, but do you know how to tell stories? Yes. Can you tell one? You see, they suck. So tomorrow's storytelling, wonderful. See you tomorrow. It was all about love today because pathos means pain and passion. And tomorrow more passion and more pathos when we enter storytelling. Hasta la vista.